Hello, everybody, and welcome. I am joined by Tom from Themeborne,
Hello.
creator of Escape the Dark Castle and now Escape the Dark Sector.
Yeah.
We're here for a bit of a deep dive on the company, what you've been up to, and what's happening with this new game.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for this, I have to admit.
We are too. Yeah, it's very exciting. So this is Escape the Dark Sector. It's the second game in the Escape the Dark series. The first one, of course, being Escape the Dark Castle.
Yeah, now, Escape the Dark Castle was a fabulous one. So different, gorgeous art style, super creepy.
Thank you.
How have things been going for it since launch?
Fantastic, actually. Escape the Dark Castle came out in early 2018. It's been a bit of a hit. We've gone on to make 3 expansion packs for it, adventure packs as we call them, which add new mechanics and cards and so on. There's a nice collector's box, soundtrack, books, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we've got a whole range of products. I think it's something like 12 products at present in the range. So it's going really well.
Yeah, well, again, it's one of those great narrative-driven ones. I mean, like, Warren's never done, but he's talking to me about him running it with his kids and just them screaming and howling, having fun.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the fact that you can actually play it solo as well, if you want to really learn the mechanics or explore the story in the world on your own, you can do that
Absolutely, yeah. It's a narrative game all about the storytelling and the atmosphere, so you can play it, you can ham it up as much as you like and play it with all kinds of different people. It's very inclusive and easygoing.
Yeah, one thing I love to do with the game is we have 1 or 2 folks in the office who love messing around with their voice. So we always sort of nominate someone to be the narrator.
Right.
So we'll say, yeah, I'm flipping the card, but we'll pass it to the narrator just for that really nice thematic feel to it.
And if you add the soundtrack to that and then some of our books and things like that, you can really have a great atmospheric experience, much like a sort of simple role-playing game.
Right. The one I really want to talk about is the new baby, Escape the Dark Sector, because at time of filming, it's currently live. I'm not sure if it still will be, but will you guys be running a pledge manager for it?
Yes, so we will have a pledge manager after the campaign, but we don't do late pledges. So you have to try and get in during the campaign, and then we can deal with that kind of stuff after the campaign.
So if you've missed it, you're going to have to wait for this one to hit retail.
You'll have to wait for retail, exactly, which will be happening. So, you know, that's okay. But of course, if you back it, you get it quicker and cheaper.
Now, important things to talk about is where the company has came from and where the idea for these games has came from, because this is now not just a game that was a flash in the pan. This is now an expansive world that you're beginning to build into.
It's a series, yeah, absolutely. Well, Themeborne is a small independent publisher. There's kind of 3 sort of people involved. It's myself, Tom, and Alex, who's the artist and illustrator and co-designer, and James, who's co-designer and also the director of our amazing thematic trailers. I don't know if you've seen those. If you haven't, check them out, because they're very they're like old school TV spots, like the things you kind of get for Hero Quest and that kind of thing. So yeah, those should be. James looks after those, and co-designs as well. So that's the 3 of us.
Yeah. Now, how did you guys actually come together as a cohesive group?
Well, we're friends. We were friends going back to when we were sort of 16, something like that. And we kind of came together over lots of different interests, one of which was gaming, of course. And we sort of had this shared love of old school fantasy and sci-fi and all this kind of stuff, and a lot of similar inspiration, similar interests, and we wanted to set out to make a game that brought all of that to the table. Because we wanted to find something like this to play, and there wasn't really anything like that we felt available. So we decided to, as all these stories go, make it ourselves, make our vision.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, it's so nice to see that everybody has jumped on board with it and are really loving and enjoying it.
It does seem that we've struck a chord, I think.
Yeah, but it's not just a very specific niche. You've got families, friends, partners, all just grabbing this game and playing.
The appeal is broader than we expected, honestly. We thought we might be making it just for people like us with a very particular set of interests, but it's being played by, as you said, young families, right through to to people like us, and it's just.
Oh, don't worry! Whenever I'm sitting in the nursing home, I'm going to be sitting playing this with the nurses.
I didn't want to say old people like us, but you know what I mean.
Hey, I'm not old just yet.
No, and that's because it's so accessible. If it's inclusive, it's accessible, there's no downtime, there's no elimination, it's cooperative, it's a storytelling experience, so everyone's involved all the time, and that is very accessible and appealing to lots of different kinds of people.
Yeah, but it's a game that gets out of its own way. I mean, there are so many games out there that you have those, what I call gaming speed bumps, where it's just like, I need to stop and check a rule.
That was really important for us with this design process. We wanted for the mechanics to be as simple as possible to facilitate a group atmospheric experience. So there are only 2 push the story forward. We took out as many as we could. That's why Escape the Dark Castle is so simple, but provides this great atmospheric experience.
But the actual design of the gameplay and the mechanics allow for damn near infinite replayability.
Yeah, that was another cornerstone for us, is we wanted to make something like a fighting fantasy adventure book, that kind of thing, but that you could play as a group. But differently to those, we wanted it to be infinitely replayable, or as infinite as possible. So it was not a one and done. It's different every time, and also what you encounter you react differently to it depending on when in the adventure you encounter it. So that's where the replayability comes from. There is a big, massive deck of cards that grows and grows, but even if you've seen everything and played it a million times, which ones will you get this time and in what order really changes your experience for that game.
Yeah, no, trust me. I mean, like, it's a game system that I'm absolutely adoring. I mean, like, in the back of my head, I've been doing a lot of 3D printed stuff at the minute.
Yeah.
And with Sector, you have those 3 acts, so you have 3 different decks. We'll get into that a little bit later. But
we've got some new stuff here.
I'm very tempted to do like a 3D spaceship, print it out, and have like tiles in every room, so you have little chits moving around, exploring them, and then you flip it and pick which one you want from the deck or something.
It's open to all that kind of thing. Yeah,
I may give that a go in the future as a bit of a hobby project. But what you guys have done is great. You've got the Kickstarter campaign for Dark Sector running. I would really love to just dive in and have a deep chat about what you've done to expand and maybe enhance from Escape the Dark Castle. Not to say there's anything wrong with Dark Castle, it's a fabulous game, but
course.
You always want to push that envelope.
This is the next step, absolutely. So Escape the Dark Castle had a core narrative engine of turning over story cards and dealing with challenges and characters that you would meet as a group. And Escape the Dark Sector takes that core engine and first of all rethemes it to sci-fi, and adds a whole load of new features and mechanics which help bring that new setting and that atmosphere to bear. So, I mean, let's dive in. In this game, the story is you play a crew, the beleaguered crew of a starship that has been impounded in a space station in the depths of the Dark Sector here. As you can see, you've got your crew here. They all have a service record card which shows their different levels of ability in the 3 areas, the 3 skill areas, which are might, cunning, and wisdom.
Yes.
And in addition to choosing a member of the crew, each player will also give that member of the crew. Oh, there's a little nice scenario there. So this is the kind of thing you'll be coming up against as you start to explore the station.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, the beginning is you've broke out and you're starting to head towards your impounded ship. So I believe this is the first piece of work you encounter in the game. Yeah.
So you begin the game locked in the detention block, and you break out of your cells.
And then you're picking your crew at this point.
Absolutely. So you select the crew that you'd like to take on this mission. And as you can see, you've got Lieutenant Abbott here and Lieutenant Taylor. And those of you who've played Escape the Dark Castle will notice that these are descendants of the original prisoners in Escape the Dark Castle. They share the same. They share the same names. So you have the service record card there, and that shows you how good you are at various different kinds of skill. That little bar chart in the bottom right-hand corner there.
Yeah, I do like the cleanup that you've done. It's still very gritty artwork. But it's just you've upped it and made it just feel just a touch more sci-fi.
Yeah, it just brings the setting in. It's a lovely job Alex has done on this new artwork. And these cards are sort of done in. They're sort of, see those tabs at the top there. They're like kind of windows on an old computer terminal kind of thing, and that's what you'll be putting together in your play area as you build up your character. So
and then so you're going to start with some gear.
Yes,
you have to.
This is a sci-fi game. It's all about tech and gear and cybernetics, and when you choose your members of the crew, at that moment you also choose a cybernetic implant. They each have a little slot in their brain which this goes into. Yeah,
if I flick back you can see it.
Yeah, there they go. They're all slightly bespoke, but they all go in there. And these cybernetic implants, a little chip there laces into your brain and gives you a special ability to use during the game. So this one on the screen that we can see here is advanced targeting. So, and that lets you perform better with ranged weapons. And ranged weapons are a big part of this game. There's a nice example there, the ray gun. So you're going to be building a team with different specialities right from the go. You get a lot of control over what your crew and what your character is going to be capable of.
This is something I quite love, is the fact that you've got that extra level of customization in there and adding to the replayability. Because I could play with, say, Abbott, and I could give him this set to begin with.
Yes.
But if I give him a different set, it could play very differently.
He could be a close combat specialist. If you choose something else, you could be a range specialist or whatever. So there's lots of different kinds of things you can put together. And that's just amplified when there's a crew of 4 of you, and you all have these different things interacting with each other. So you have to choose a good sort of engine as a team as well, because you're going to be working together here.
Yeah, and then as you're playing through, you're going to be running through the 3 acts that I mentioned.
Yes, so this is all new to Escape the Dark Sector. So the mission deck that you work your way through now is divided into 3 acts. Each act is signified, as you can see there, by a blip on the scanner. So the more blips on the scanner in classic sci-fi style,
It's kind of like a data pad.
Exactly. So you're looking ahead like an alien, and the more blips on the scanner, the more danger lies ahead. So that's Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3 there. And you have different item drop rates, different kinds of encounters, and severity of sort of adversaries increases generally as you go through those acts there.
Yeah, and then as you're working through, you're going to be killing stuff and looting stuff.
Yes.
So depending on your build, that's actually really going to help you determine who gets what loot.
Yes, and with the acts, there's more item drops in Act 1. So if you have the choice to fight or flee, for example, in Act 1, you're going to have a different layer of tactics or strategy to think about there, because you need to probably kill the enemy to get their stuff.
Yeah.
And tool up as much as you can in the early part of the mission so that you are prepared for the later phases of the mission. So you're sort of aware of where you are in the mission as you play, and that alters your decisions as a team on what risks you should and shouldn't take.
Yeah, also now that with the addition of ranged combat, being able to loot a lot early, you might find something like this battle rifle.
Yes, if you draw this, it's happy days. So this is one of our ranged weapons. There are 3 kinds of ranged weapon: energy, explosive, and ballistic. This is a ballistic weapon, and it's a pretty cool one. It gives you a nice ability to do some damage, dish out some firepower.
Yeah, and then you have your enemies here. So I'm not sure which act this one's from.
That looks like an Act 2 card to me. So yeah, you can see that you're going to come up against all kinds of nasty enemies here. This alien that pounces on us, and there'll be some nice narrative text that you read out. That's obviously a big part of the game. And as you can see there, the enemy has a little hit chart on its artwork. And that represents that enemy's sort of susceptibility or weaknesses against the different kinds of ammo, which are those from the top down. It's ballistic, energy, and explosive. And then, as we've always seen before, in the bottom left, we've got the stat line that it runs with. Yes, so at the bottom there, it's stats. So the black dice represent the challenge and how much health it has. Basically, that's its health bar. And the bottom right is how much damage it does. Now, that enemy is only a close combat enemy. So that doesn't shoot at you, but a lot of the other enemies will.
Now, I do have a question. Now, one of the things that I see a lot of groups doing is they read the cards in different ways. Would you have a recommended way to actually read through, to actually give your players the best narrative experience?
Well, it's really up to the players, of course, and their style of group. But what we like to recommend is that you turn the card and put it in the middle so that all players can see it at the same time and everybody can react to that revelation of the artwork. And then whoever turns it reads the story text aloud. You can hand that up if you like. You don't have to, just read it. It's all in the text.
I love having it
up. And then there'll be some options that come up. And some of those options may give you a choice or a challenge and then have a success or failure result. We probably wouldn't read those out ahead of time. If it says that you need to take a wisdom challenge in however many attempts, I would suggest you make that attempt and then read what happens, whether you succeed or fail afterwards.
So you like to keep a little bit of suspense so that if you play through again, you don't already know the options on that card if you got it the other way last time.
Yeah, you can see that the results are there, but until you get to them, I wouldn't read them. Just take the challenge, do your best, and then see what the result is.
Gotcha. I have to say, I love this particular piece of artwork. The idea of just an alien just screaming out of the darkness and saying,
yeah, this thing drops on you from the bulkhead above, and whoever leads into the chapter. This is a big thing about the Escape the Dark series that you may not know. Before you turn each chapter card, you choose which member of the crew is leading into the darkness. And whoever leads into this chapter, that thing lands on their shoulders and they've got a challenge to shake it off straight away. So that's why there's no ranged combat in this chapter, because it's right in your face straight away.
We then move on. This is what you were talking about with the different the different ammo types.
So this is another big decision for the players. So you're going to find yourself hopefully nice and tooled up with various guns and weapons, all firing different kinds of ammunition. And that little chart there, which each chapter card will have on it, will determine how much damage those kinds of weapons or that kind of ammunition does to the enemy. So you're going to think, look, I've got this amazing battle rifle here, but look, that's nowhere near as effective as energy or explosives are on this enemy. So it's got a resistance to that. So you're going to be choosing as a fire team who should shoot with which weapons, and there's a variety of actions you can take, which we'll get into in a little bit.
Yeah, well, you see the actions themselves I quite like, because it's, you always have someone being aggressive to sort of distract your opponent so that everybody else can sort of position themselves or heal themselves or do things like that.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a second then. So that's the medical. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
So in range combat, you have a wealth of new actions here. So you're kind of acting like a fire team, and you begin range combat with everybody kind of pressed up against the corridor, and if you want to pop out and shoot, you risk being shot at. So that's the sort of risk that you take. So any number of players can pop out and shoot. The other players can then flank, reload, equip, treat wounds, charge, all kinds of different actions, but only if somebody's giving them covering fire. So each round, every member of the crew makes a choice about an action, and then you execute them simultaneously. So it might go, okay, you shoot while I reload, and this other player moves to the flank. Next round, you're out of ammo, so you reload, I'll cover you, this guy's going to treat his wounds, and we go round and round like this. So range combat can really last a few rounds. It's very tactical.
One thing I do like about it is you have these particular 2 cards here where you're going to place your crew dice. So that means that only one person can be trying to flank at a time, only one person can be trying to treat their wounds at a time.
That's right. So these are our new
It means that you don't have everybody just spamming the same thing.
No, but you can all open fire if you like, but after that, everybody's going to be out of ammo, so you're going to have no choice but to charge into hand-to-hand. Whereas if you stagger it and kind of make a plan as a fire team, you can keep the enemy at bay with your ranged weapons for longer, which might be beneficial. In some cases, it's better to charge them if they're weak up close. And that's, again, it's a tactical choice you make based on which chapter you're currently in and what enemy you're facing.
It also depends on what tools you're
and what
running
you've
with
got,
as well.
absolutely.
If you've got massive great guns, I'm not going to run in to just start punching someone in the face if I've got a gun.
Yeah, that's right. You should probably hang back and shoot that. If you've got a missile launcher or something like that, everybody else takes cover and the guy with the launcher fires. That's every single round you make a new choice about what's best to do.
But I like the fact that it's building from what the Dark Castle had, because in the Dark Castle it was, okay, we're either attacking or we're healing. Attacking or healing. There was a very nice binary aspect to it. This adds a deeper level of tactics.
Well, in Castle, you're medieval prisoners in tight corridors, so you haven't got as many choices as that. In this game, you're highly trained crew with lots of weapons and gear, so of course you've got more options available to you. So thematically that works. And in the gameplay, it gives you a lot more tactical choices and strategy, which really suits the sci-fi theme.
The next thing you added is the new medical record. I adore this.
Thank you.
Just because it's so simple, but it's so gorgeous.
So this is another of the amazing products from Alex, our artist and co-designer. So this is a medical record. Each member of the crew has one of these, and this is how you track your HP, your health, as it ebbs and flows during the game. We've got an example on the table here, actually, just down here, and you can see that you mark it like a sort of health monitor, and it goes up and down, which sort of like your heartbeat might do. Again, this is like a monitoring station for your crew, so you can see each player's condition as they go through the adventure.
But you see, I can just imagine them running through, and they've just got this little wristband on.
It's that kind of thing,
it's just
exactly.
Sitting there,
or there's somebody in a control center, and he can see the condition of all the members of the team. That kind of thing.
Please tell me you have a HAL on the on the shuttle.
We'll see. And so you kind of use this medical record to chart your health as it rapidly plummets towards that bottom axis there, and if that happens, your character is killed, and we need all members of the crew that are in the game to fly your ship. So what you're trying to do in this game, by the way, the story is you're working through the mission deck to get to the final hangar door, behind which is your impounded ship being held captive by a boss. Kill the boss, release your ship, and fly home. That's the object. But everyone has to be alive to fly that ship, so if anyone dies, the game is over. Again,
it's why, we did a quick one off camera, and I was always looking at it going, okay, well, you have more health than me right now. But I'm better armed. What's the balance here?
Exactly. So is it a good idea for me to take cover for a couple of rounds and heal while you lay down some fire to keep the enemy back and maybe do some damage, soften it up, and then we can flank it? We'll make these decisions.
But then you have those moments of, okay, I'm really, really tooled up for shooting here, but I'm really hurting. Do we want to try and finish it, or are you okay to take a little damage while I heal myself up?
This is the trouble. If you step out and take shots at the enemy, you risk being shot back. Whereas you could stay in cover and heal. The choices will be interesting. Well, they are.
Well, I mean, like it's a gorgeous game, and one of the things that I really hope to see is that people jump on with it. You really go for it, and you get to do more expansions.
Absolutely. The more successful the Kickstarter is, the more stretch goals we can unlock, and the more development we can do on the game. So right now we're focusing on the core game, but we've got as you know, an extended range with Castle with lots of cool expansions and accessories. We'd love to go down a similar route with Sector. We don't know exactly what that's going to be yet, but there's so many possibilities with this game that we are very excited to move forward and crack on with that. But for now, we're just perfecting this core set.
Well, the other thing is, don't forget, Escape the Dark Castle is still a living, breathing game. I'm sure you guys are still supporting it, of course.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we're very small independent publisher, so we can only do sort of one thing at a time. And we've paused Castle because there's a lot of content for that now. Plenty to be getting on with to get Sector out there, but Castle is still alive and kicking, and we're definitely going to come back and do some more content for that in the future. So yeah, that's not over yet.
Yeah, you see, I'm every time you do one of these, I'm super excited to see it. But like everybody in the world, my brain's always going, but what's next?
What's next? I know, and we have this too. It takes so long to develop these games and to playtest them and finish them and do all the artwork and the story.
Yeah, you see, I just imagine you have like a room in your office with like strings running from pinpoints across the wall to track stuff.
Well, I mean, we've been developing Castle for about 5 years, and that's a long time.
Oh yes.
And so creatively, honestly, we needed something a little bit different. So we've taken a break from the fantasy, and we're now doing our other big passion, which is sci-fi, and that's just the way it goes. But we'll be back to Castle, and we'll have these two pillars, if you like, of the Escape the Dark series: the fantasy and the sci-fi, Castle and Sector, and you can choose which kind of adventure you want to have each time.
Well, it's really cool. Thank you very much for coming in, Tom. Is there anything else you want to say to everybody aside from go back to Kickstarter? If it's still going?
The Kickstarter, if it's still live, get on it. It's the best way to get this lovely stuff for the best price and get it before anybody else. So check it out.
Yeah, well, once again, thank you. Everybody, I tell you what, get your comments in below. Are you excited for Escape the Dark Sector? Have you been loving Escape the Dark Castle? And I tell you what, just for a bit of a conversation starter, how about you drop in below some of the themes and ideas you would love to see the guys maybe explore for future games in the Escape the Dark series?
Yeah.
We'll move on. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.